You guys obviously changed the practice schedule to go yesterday. What went into the decision to do that?
Yeah, just decision of a couple factors. One is that with back-to-back home games and the early kickoff, I thought it would give us a chance to give them some more rest here in the morning, on Monday morning. It's a long season, and you try to give them as much sleep as you can, as we still feel morning practices are good for us. So I like we've had some spirited, energetic Sunday evening practices. So and a chance to mix it up. This was predetermined, win or lose, and and it's something I did. Bounced off a few people, but was leaning strong towards doing, and we did.
Now that you've done it, are you happy?
Extremely, extremely. I thought I'm really proud of our guys for their attitude, their energy level last night, considering another physical football game, the ability to turn the page and get back at it. Yeah, honestly, it was better than I expected.
Jason, what's the nature of his injury, and was he able to practice
I'm not going to
yesterday?
get into the nature of injuries in depth, but he did not practice last night. But my latest is I'm very optimistic that he'll be playing on Saturday.
And if Jason can't play, and it is Cole, who would be Cole's backup?
Well, it could be Ben Easters, could be Mikey Pauley.
And then senior day is Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're full of them today, man. Does everybody else get the mic here?
Well, still over there. What has the senior class meant to you?
Well, it's every senior class, and I try not to get too sentimental because it's tough. Even if you let your emotions get a hold of you too much, it distracts from them hopefully having their best opportunity to play their best football game, their last home game. The good thing is we've made enough progress in this program to play a bowl game, so it's always like we get more time together, because it's tough sometimes when you say goodbye, because it really changes after they leave and the careers are over. It gets more to a see you later type, hopefully, is the way I do it. And but to see the guys that each person has their own story of how they got here, how long they've been here, what they've added to this program as far as their attitude, their effort, their belief, the help changing of the culture, their work ethic, and of course production on the field. And they all, in a special way, have left their own mark on this program. You could go through some of these guys are going through it on Saturday, and some have played a ton of football here. Kenny Logan, of course, first comes to mind. Then you can go into Pooney or Mike Nowitzki in their realm. And I'm going to miss guys, of course, or Craig Young that's transferred in. And when they came, what Mike and Rich have given us from transferring from Buffalo, as far as helping bridge the gap sooner, helping them to understand, in many ways be like a translator of what we're like and how we do it and why. I know here they gave me the whole list and I didn't bring it with me. Okay, I could. I'm gonna try to bounce. If you got somebody else I'm missing, please let me know. But I think of Reese Vernon, who was our starting punter and was beaten out to a point where he doesn't travel, okay? And that's tough. But Reese could have easily just left or just finished school or do things, and he's going to graduate. And guys that, to me, is that hopefully that experience through the ups and the downs, that you stay with it, okay? And then we've got other guys who are walk-ons and other guys that haven't played a lot of football that you'll see go through that. So I kind of, Mason Fairchild, I guess, is one I haven't touched on. You look at what he's done as far as just good blue-collar way of going about it to become a player who's made all-conference recognition. So each one has done a lot for this program and for this university in a very short period of time.
sort of big picture. But
did he ask you to ask this for him, or?
He actually hasn't texted me in a while,
okay,
so
okay.
I'll talk to him about that after. But considering that you've had the same offensive and defensive coordinator for more than a decade now, if someone had told you that you'd have Andy and Brian together with you for as long as you have, would you have been surprised or seen that sort of?
They could tolerate me that long, or
you said that on me.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be surprised. I mean, you know, and I always kind of add the little asterisk to it because Jim Zebrowski was my first offensive coordinator for the first 3 years of being a head coach. So I guess it's not so bad after all of work environment and understanding. Yeah, because I think, you know, I say even, that's not even the right way to say it. Brian had opportunities to be a Division III head coach while we were at Whitewater, and had opportunities and did take interviews and did look at things. But the thing that says for the longevity of it, I think is, to their credit, their teachers and coaches in the way that it was supposed to be in my world. Meaning they didn't get hung up on titles, they didn't get hung up on salaries. Yes, they need to take care of their families, but they still want to be football coaches. And Glenn Mason said that when he came here. He said, you know, we have football coaches here on this staff. Some guys like being coaches because of the money, the recognition, everything that's going on today in this world. Andy, Brian, Jim, Chris, the guys that have been a long time, they're in it for the right reasons. And I can keep going. I think that's why we've had the continuity. And we're very fortunate, and when I say we're very fortunate, Lance Leipold and the University of Kansas is very fortunate to have a group like that. Now, it's not always clean and perfect, and not every call always works, and not every call is one that we would necessarily do again. But at the same time, it's a good group, and it's when you think about the time we spend together. Many times, especially parts of the year, we spend it more together than we do with our own families. So you got to be able to work through the good and the bad together.
Are there any memories that stick out, like this is what it's like to coach with Andy, this is what it's like to coach with Brian, over the years you spent with them?
This is what it's like to coach with Brian or Andy. Now, I've seen, we've all grown and changed through it all. I mean, you know, the one that it's probably the first couple when I met Andy kind of even sticks out from the get-go is, I guess I'll share two quick ones with you. When I hired Andy, he drove all the way, he might have stopped back at his in-laws, but he drove all the way back to Bismarck, North Dakota from Whitewater, which is, I think, about 10 hours, a good 10. And was back on campus working in I think, under 56 hours. You know, there's none of this, you know, I got a 2-week notice, and I got to be there, and I got to do this and this. No, Andy went, got his stuff, and came to work. That's what I love about him. You know, we were 2-10 at Buffalo, and my sport administrator asked me if I was going to make staff changes, and it was mainly with Andy. I said, no. You know, and you know, it takes time, and they've been loyal to me, and again, we're not perfect, but it's tough to get wins, and I appreciate their loyalty. And you know, Brian Borland was making $43,000 when I walked into Whitewater, okay, and it was he and Chris Simpson got the recruit for 1 week, and it was just me and Brian to put the recruiting class together. Oh yeah, he had to teach 9 hours at the same time. Classroom, not like, you know, golf or something that, you know, like I did a racquetball. So to watch what these guys have done and how they go about it, I think is, in the unselfishness and that they go through, I'm really proud of, okay? Now, just like myself, could have done a better job Saturday. So we got to get better for this week.
Just in the early going, what stands out to you so far about Kansas State?
Which is I was in there with the defense staff. They're so well coached, and the depth and the experience up front in the offensive line, of course, allows them to continue to grow in what they do, both sides of the ball. I think there's parallels in our staff based on the makeup of the staffs and how they've gone about it, how Chris has done it in his career, and he's been able to retain a lot of people as well. And so when you do that, you're able to continue to grow and do those things. They got experience and high production at quarterback. The weapons, even you could see, which is also a sign of good culture, is and development, is you're seeing a lot of some of their younger true freshmen play a lot and be productive for them as well. So I was just watching some of last year's game as I came in here, and I don't know if we could have gotten off to any worse start in the first quarter of that game, and credit to them, their crowd, the whole thing. So if we can weather storms like that, I expect it to be a better first quarter for sure.
I wanted to ask about Woot, because he didn't play much after that play with the 2 penalties in the sideline. Just how's he doing since Saturday?
He was not at practice last night either, so we'll wait and see on him, but I'm optimistic he'll be available.
You've talked about not skipping steps, and just Kansas as a whole has made a tremendous kind of step forward as the season. A lot of these guys have talked about how they want to beat K-State because they've never done it before. It's been a long time. How do you kind of keep them focused on this game and not get them too, I guess, amped up in a sense where it affects nerves and all that?
Well, hopefully the whole process of 3 years for those guys has continued to stay the course. Other than changing practice, we didn't change the practice format last night, and consistency in how you go about it is the key. I mean, for us to play them, and they're the defending conference champs, and we're coming in with it and with similar records, and it's a home game and all those things, and I think we should play loose in this game. We're just going to keep working on closing that gap, and we're going to see where it's going to turn out on Saturday. And that's the way it should be. There shouldn't be anything more about being nerved up about this one than the last one or the one following afterwards. If we're doing it right, there should be hopefully some extra excitement because of it's the 2 in-state schools. Like I said, it was going to be our responsibility to start making this rivalry a better game, and I think we're taking those steps. But we have to go out and play that way.
And Devin's had a tremendous season so far. Is there any running back that you think he kind of plays comparatively like on Kansas or that you've seen in the past?
I probably haven't given that one enough thought and if I say it, I'll be picking one too much. I don't know. Any suggestions? No, I don't know. He's, I'll say this, that I don't look at that one. Sometimes in recruiting we do that, but once they're here, I don't know if I spend enough time on that because he's unique. The thing about him, and when you really watch, is, to me, he's such a complete back. He really is. Especially like Iowa State game, I thought he had his best game in pass protection he had ever had as a Jayhawk. But that's not on some stat sheet. That's just something that shows up that's pretty important. He's a good receiver. I thought probably his run on Saturday, the one thing that I thought he really showed was that gear. The gear to burst by everyone. I think at the time we needed that spark. He showed that, and again, that's why he and Daniel are so complementary to each other. The power and then things that Daniel can also do, and obviously we're going to need both on Saturday.
As I know, there's supposed to be more of the highly rated recruits and a pretty big group this weekend. How big is this game for recruiting that you can sell? As we've said locally and things, we got to do better. We want to do better, and as we've said, there's
again, between our play on the field, the investment in facilities, all those type of things, they can all play a part. And again, atmosphere and the whole thing is going to take place and then fit and those, but it is big. And again, I think we've continued to make progress in that area as well. Is it always as fast as we want? No, but it's a priority, and it should be a good setting for that on Saturday.
Might know the answer to this already, but do you get into bringing guys in to talk to the team that have had experience in this rivalry, or former players, or any of that this week? Or
would I? Yeah, sometimes, but have I got something lined up right now? No. Because it's senior. There's a lot of things, and again, it's I've tried to keep it as consistent. Real quick, when I inherited a program at Whitewater where they let all the seniors kind of do a senior talk. Coach Sleeve does a little bit that with them before the season starts, okay? And we went through this at Whitewater, and we had a real good group of seniors, and we had like 20-some guys, and it was on Friday after our meetings. It went like over 2.5 hours. It was draining, and really emotionally draining. And we went out and played probably close to our poorest game against the last place team, and something that I thought was because it's always resonated with me because of the emotional drain that it can kind of take on you, and it's a balance. I'd like them to soak it in, but really the whole team needs to soak it in, because the stadium will never be the same after Saturday.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
You mentioned the stadium. Do you think about that this is the last game of this kind of edition of Memorial Stadium?
Sometimes I cut underneath the tunnel, like I come in and I drive underneath, and I've kind of thought about that. And I just, as I kind of went underneath it a few times, but other than that, I don't know. I guess I'll take a moment when it happens, but no. Yeah.
And you mentioned watching the tape of last year's game. When you watch that, what stands out to you about the areas of growth that you've seen from your team over the last kind of 50 weeks?
Yeah, like I'm about halfway through the second quarter. I'm watching the TV copy right now because again, a lot of times after a day or so, I like watching the flows of games, because a lot, the position coaches and all that, they're watching down and distance, parts of the field, and formations, whatever, run, and they've got all their breakdowns. I like to see how the game flowed about when certain things happened. A lot of it's maybe irrelevant, but there's certain times I've always found I get something out of every game I watch a television copy. I don't listen to it all. I fast forward and click through, but I mean, man, we, looking at where it's at is, I think we're more physical on defense. I think we run better on defense. I've watched some of our, I watch Marvin Grant and O.J. Burroughs. I think they're playing immensely different and more confident than they did a year ago, as well as Mello Dotson. So I mean, those are just some. I think our line's more experienced, and again, like I say, a holding call in the end zone. I think we had 2 or 3 bad snaps. Mike Nowitzki, that's probably had more bad snaps on that game than he did, but then he was battling. He had surgery after the season, but it is what it is, and he had more bad snaps in that game than I ever remember, and so the game just got off to such a one-sided momentum shift. Credit to them, but the drop punt, OJ, slips, falls, boom, we get a stop. All those things you're kind of hoping that you get on the road, and then it just backfired. So I see us being a team that can overcome some of that, and as we've been able to show, like Saturday's slow start, and but it's going to take 60 minutes, that's for sure.
Building up Trace's question, do you see any similarities between Devin and Jarrett Patterson from your time at Buffalo?
Different styles. Yeah. Probably the best is really great quality people to the core. That's probably their best quality. Playing styles are different. Jarrett's 5'6", 5'7", stop, go, make you miss. But Devin probably equal in the receiving area. Devin's probably was maybe a hair quicker, faster. Yeah.
Going back to talking about Brian and Andy, like when you made these jumps from Wisconsin Whitewater to Buffalo to Kansas, like what was I guess why were you so confident to stick with them instead of maybe, as I'm sure people would have understood, if you would have gone with different coordinators making those jumps?
Because it's much like I said at my opening press conference at Buffalo, is that I believe football is still football. It's still the same game with the same rules at the college level. There's probably more of the other things, such as things like this, and other things that sometimes paint a picture of it being something that now, there's more things. There's things here that are definitely different than Buffalo. That are some that maybe you have to look at in staff dynamics and things like that. But as far as putting plans together and doing that, there was never that part was not going to be a question to me, and it goes back to what you know and what you trust. And I said a lot of times you got to trust your gut and not maybe what outside influences think are the answers, because you see many times people end up hiring somebody that because it's the name or something that they think, and all of a sudden it's not quite the fit, even philosophically, of what the staff or the head coach and program direction is. So it's a balancing act.
Coach, how important are your Kansas kids on the roster to maybe relay to some of those guys who aren't from the state how much this game means to the community?
Our Kansas guys are extremely important, and there's some pride in that, and there's some of these between families and other things that know past success here, but also the success of what Coach Snyder and Coach Kleiman have done at Kansas State, and that's what you want rivalries to be great competitions, physical battles, all those things. But I know on this side of it there's a lot of respect, and as I asked, if you're asking to bring about speakers, I think I got probably the best speaker, and that'll probably be Sean Snyder this week. I think that'd be a pretty good one for us, but to really relate to it on both sides of the coin, and and back to those players, the ones that maybe chose here when it wasn't the popular choice, or maybe even the easy choice of taking on a challenge to be here and be a part of something that we're able to build on.
I know you said how the crowd last week didn't really get into it in the second half. Obviously, this is going to be a game where you want to get them going right away. We know how you say how important the crowd will be. How important will it be, obviously, especially in prime time? Yeah,
it's going to be extremely important, and you hope that the right people bought the tickets and those things. But I'm sure there will be noise for both sides. But that's what makes great environments in college football. And we have a great setting for college football, and we're going to need our fans and our crowd and the noise to be there the whole time, and make sure we're loud and be impactful. Like I said, and as I mentioned earlier, I think there were definitely plays in that early part of that game that I just said I was watching that their fans played a part in. And we've got to try to make that happen for us, and again give everyone a reason to kind of get that energy from that opening kick and give it something to build on. We did not do that Saturday.
Anything else, Coach Leipold?
Yes.